All right, everybody, what's happening, man? Welcome to today's edition of SWAC Talk, the show we cover the SWAC inside and out. Of course, I am your tour guide around the SWAC Seawells coming at you. And we're going to hop back into that time machine, man, and go back to 1998 and review and recap the 1998 Bayou Classic, Southern against Grambling. This was a game I'm glad that was recommended to me by one of my followers out there, Joey Jackson. Man, thank you for recommending this game. Because in 1998 I was in college, man, and I don't really remember this game at all. I think I had too much fun on Friday night before the game. So it was, I mean, I've seen it a few times since then, but it was good to go back and watch it and kind of piece some things together that I probably did not remember. So definitely thank you for that. And if y'all got any suggestions, if it's something I could find, I'll watch it and talk about it. So check out Alex Hines' YouTube channel, man. Dude is the GOAT at posting these HBCU games. So if you see something on there and you like me to review it, hit me up in my socials, which are on the screen below. Facebook is SWACTalk, Instagram SWACTalk, Twitter SWACTalk76. So hit those up. While you're here, why don't you go ahead and subscribe to the channel if you haven't done so already. Hit that notification bell so you can be alerted to videos that I drop, like that live video I dropped last night, and the interviews that I drop from time to time. Those are typically not on my Wednesday and Sunday schedule. So, you hit that notification bell, you'll be alerted to all that stuff when it drops. Make sure to like the videos and share them, and feel free to comment on any video that you like. Tomorrow, I've been talking about it the last few days, but tomorrow is the 50th episode of SWAC Smoke, man. It's a crazy atmosphere to be in, to be 50 episodes deep into this show. And, I'm just thankful for that. So, come and chop it up with us and enjoy, man. We're going to have a good time, just going to kick it, and have us a good time doing our 50th episode. So make sure you check that out. Sunday, another episode of SWAC Talk coming at you. And then next week, we'll be getting into Media Day and starting our 12-team previews with Alabama A&M to begin that series. So a lot of things coming up. Football season is right around the corner. Week 0 starts in a little bit more than a month. So season is here. Basically we are in football season at this point. So let's get up and let's get at it, man, because that's what most of y'all are here for, is football. So let's get up and get at it. So before we get started with this episode, man, I would like to wish my condolences and prayers to the family of Rashard Anderson. He was a Jackson State great defensive back in the late 90s, NFL first round draft pick. He untimely passed away at the age of 45, and that touches me because that's the same age I am. So anytime that happens, man, you get that little twinge in your system, because life is fragile, and you just never know, when your time is coming. So I just want to say prayers to his family, the JSU family, everybody out there that knows him, has interacted with him, met him, whatever. Man, your prayers are out to you from me, and I just hope his family can make it through this process as best as they can. So I just wanted to show some respect to a guy that passed on, and again, it's kind of like like I did a video a little while ago when Calvin McGee passed away. I think we need to make sure, me included, we need to make sure that we give these guys their flowers while they're still here, man, because you just never know when somebody's gonna transition to the other side. And there's a whole generation of people that may not have even heard of this guy or seen him play. And I mean, he was a great player. He was working at times in the school system in Jackson. So he was interacting with the youth and still doing his thing now. So I just want to send my prayers out, man. That's tragic news. And I just want to just leave it at that. And prayers to his family and the JSU family, man. Y'all got my love and my prayers. And I hate to begin a show like that, because it's so hard to get into, fun stuff. But life is like that sometimes. You get hit with that kind of stuff. So I had to show my respect. So once again, prayers and condolences to his family and the JSU family. All right, man. Let's see. Can we hop into this time machine, man? And let's have us a little fun after that heavy note, man. The year was 1998. I was at Southern University. I was a young cat. Well, I wasn't that young. I was 22 at that point. But I was the guy, hey, Southern was on a roll football wise. Southern was going through one of the best stretches that they had been through in a long time. Grambling was kind of on the other end of it. They were coming off of the Eddie Robinson era. The program had started to kind of decline, and they needed a change. So, Eddie Robinson's last year was in 1997. They went 3-8 that year. They brought in Doug Williams, Super Bowl MVP. Grambling, great. Bayou Classic, multiple Bayou Classic MVP. Guy undefeated in the Bayou Classic as a quarterback. Guy coached around all over the place. Grambling legend was brought in to take over the program. Their first season, which is this season, the 98 season, it was a mixed bag for them. And we'll talk about that season in a minute. But like I said, the mid 90s was kind of like a decline for Grambling. In 94, they went 9-3, and then in 95 they went 5-6. In 96 and 97 they went 3-8 both years, and then ultimately Eddie Robinson was moved out. Doug Williams was moved in. 98 season started off on a good note for Grambling. They beat Alcorn 11-0. They lost to Alabama A&M 14-13. They lost to Hampton 28-15. They beat Prairie View 55-40. They beat Valley 21-13. They lost to Pine Bluff 54-33. They lost to Jackson State 68-35. They lost to Texas Southern 41-21. They beat Alabama State 31-6. They beat Winston-Salem 35-28. And then we'll talk about the matchup with Southern in a couple minutes. This season, record-wise, it may not have been great, but it was the start of a great run for Grambling, and I'm going to go through these years. They went 7-4 in 99. They went 10-2 in 2000, 10-1 in 2001, 11-2 in 2002, 9-3 in 2003, and then 6-5 in 2004, and 11-1 in 2005. So that's just a hell of a run right there, man. Almost made the SWAC championship game in 99. Made the SWAC championship game in 2000 and won it. Made the SWAC championship game in 2001 and won it. Made the SWAC championship game in 2002 and won it. Didn't make it in 03, 04, 05. They won the SWAC again. 06, they didn't make it. And then 07, they made the SWAC championship again. 08, they made the SWAC championship and won it. And then, they kind of had a couple years off before they got back on track. So this was the start of a great run for Grambling. Coach Doug Williams, spearheaded this run, and then ultimately Melvin Spears took over at one point during this run. And this team, this team had a nice building block to it, man. They had our quarterback Lionel Hayes, who was ironically a Southern Jaguar at first at the beginning of his career. He, could not get the job from quarterback that was here, and I'm going to talk about that in a minute. Ultimately left and went to Grambling and had a lot of success there. His last year in '99, he really showed out in that game. He had some moments in this game, but he was a big guy, man. Like I said, Baton Rouge guy. A guy that I know personally, and he was a guy who really made things happen out there. Grambling, on the other side of the ball, they had a young man by the name of Calvin Spears, another Baton Rouge guy who was a freshman that year, who was going to be a great Grambling defensive back. Scotty Anderson at wide receiver, you know his name. He was a guy who was a touchdown machine. He was a young receiver in this game. I think he was a sophomore, I want to say. He was a young guy. He scored, I think, 12 touchdowns on the season at that point. And the team had, they had those building blocks. You can see the mentality of the defense was changing. They were getting tougher. The offense was, becoming more potent through the air. And you could see if you know what Grambling will become the next few years, you could see that building block in there. You could see it formulating, and you could see that team starting to put things together. And ultimately, this was a very good game, and we almost to the point of talking about this game. Moving on to Southern finished the season at 9-3 that year, and they were in the middle of a great run. Under Pete Richardson, his first year at Southern, they went 11-1 in 1993. They went 6-5 in 94, 11-1 in 95, 7-5 in 96, 11-1 in 97, 9-3 in 98, 11-2 in 99. They went 6-5 in 2000, 7-4 in 2001, 6-6 in 2002, 12-1 in 03, and 8-3 in 04. So they, that was a great run. They won SWAC multiple times in that period. 93, 93, they won SWAC 97, 98, 99, 03, and 04, they went to the championship game. So this team was a very successful team. And, at this point, they were really in the middle of their run. They were kind of in transition, losing a lot of guys from that 97 team and building on to that 99 team. Of course, they had Steve Wofford, their running back, who at that point was a leading rusher in school history. He ultimately would be passed by Leonard Tillery in the late 20-teens. So, but that was a guy who was definitely a big-time running back for them. This season started off kind of on the downside. They lost to Northwestern State 28-7 to open the season. They lost their quarterback after the game, Marcus Jacoby. He left the program. Sam George took over. And I think I'm going to probably make a video soon about, white quarterbacks in the SWAC. At one point, Southern and Grambling had white quarterbacks. And, of course, Casey Terrio at JSU is another guy. So I'm thinking about doing a video about that. But Sam George took over at quarterback, and Southern beat UAPB the next week, 17-14. They beat Prairie View 37-7. They beat Alabama State 34-27. They beat Valley 42-13. They lost to Alabama A&M 33-27, which was the actual first. Coming in was an unofficial member of the SWAC at that point. They went transition. 99 would be their first year in the conference. They beat Jackson State 33-28. They beat Alcorn 29-28. They lost to FAMU 50-48 in an amazing game. I wish I had video of that game. That game was nuts. They beat Texas Southern 20-14, and then they Grambling game, and then they beat Bethune-Cookman in the Heritage Bowl 28-2 to finish with a 9-3 record. So this Bayou Classic was a tale of two halves. Southern would ultimately win this game 26-14, but this game was the tale of two halves. First half, Southern got the scoring started first when Justin Mattingly kicked a 37-yard field goal to give Southern the lead at 3-0. And then Grambling scored 2 touchdowns in the second half to kind of take control of this game. They were able to move the ball, pretty consistently in this game, especially in the first half through the air. Running game wasn't quite there for them. Southern really couldn't get a lot going. Southern did pick up. Southern did get down to the 2-yard line at one point in the first quarter and fumble. So that took a scoring chance away from them. But Lionel Hayes will hook up with Scotty Anderson for a 44-yard touchdown pass to give Grambling a 7-3 lead. And then both teams kind of went back and forth. And with no time left in the first half, Scotty Anderson catches another pass from Lionel Hayes, this time for 65 yards and a touchdown to give Grambling a 14-3 halftime lead. So Grambling was in control. They were playing well. The defense was making a lot of plays. The offense was doing what they needed to do. They weren't spectacular, but they did hit 2 huge pass plays. So they were in control in the first half. Southern came out in the second half and was able to start to put some drives together. The first drive that they got, Grambling had a couple penalties to help them along, but Sam George connected with John George, no relation, for a 37-yard touchdown to make the score 14-10 at that point. And then later in the third quarter, George and George will hook up again for a 24-yard touchdown to give Southern a 17-14 lead. And Grambling had an opportunity to tie the game with 8 minutes and 31 seconds to go in the fourth quarter. When Lawrence Richmond missed a 37-yard field goal, Southern would get the ball, march down the field, and get a 42-yard field goal from Justin Mattingly with 5 minutes and 30 seconds left to give Southern a 20-14 lead. And then with about 2 minutes or so, 2:48 left in the game, Sam George would connect with John Foreman for a 43-yard touchdown to basically put the game totally on ice and make the score 26-14. And Southern would hold Grambling as Grambling would drive down the field for an attempted late score to kind of cut into the margin, but they came up short on that. Really entertaining game. Like I said, honestly it was the tale of two halves. Grambling really controlled that first half, especially defensively. The defense gave Southern a lot of fits. Southern really couldn't get anything going, especially on the ground game. Having a running back like Steve Wofford who had 2,000-yard seasons back-to-back years, that's a guy that's going to open up your offense for you. And they really couldn't get anything going through the air because Grambling was so stout on the ground. Sam George was a short quarterback, probably 5'8", 5'9", so he really needed to be mobile and out of the pocket and find his passing lanes. And Grambling did a good job of not letting him get loose. They always kept contained on him in the first half and never let him really make any plays out of the pocket or making any plays like a scramble type play or anything when when a play breaks down. They kept that under control. Second half penalties really caught up to Grambling. They ended up with over 100 yards of penalties in this game, and that really ate them up in the second half. And Southern was able to start to get those timely big plays. They started getting more pressure on Lionel Hayes on defense. They started getting to the quarterback more, getting him uncomfortable, forcing him out of the pocket, and not allowing him to find his guys down the field because he has a huge arm, and he was a guy that can throw the ball deep downfield with ease. And he's a big quarterback, so if you let him get moving, he was hard to get on the ground. But Southern kept the pressure on, and Grambling was unable to get anything going with the run game, and that that kind of sealed their fate in the second half. As Southern started to get some holes in the running game and hit those big passes, and they started to play the game more on on the plus side of the field for them, and putting Grambling with their backs against the wall. This would be Southern's sixth Bayou Classic victory in a row. They would win two more before Grambling would win in 2001, and then Grambling would kind of take control of the series for a minute, and then they would kind of build on that. But this was a great game to watch, man. Like I said, I had to hunt down a DVD. My folks had this game on DVD. If you know anybody got it, man, and you haven't seen it, then I suggest that you watch it. It's basically what you want from a Bayou Classic. Both teams really went at it. Nobody really fully had control of this game until the end. And Grambling still had opportunities even once Southern kind of went on a little run. Southern had a couple opportunities even when Grambling went on a run. It was just it was what you expect. Two teams strapping up. Grambling really trying to prove themselves and show that the last few years that they weren't that team, and they were going to be a force to be reckoned with in the near future, and they were. And this game definitely was the kind of like that blueprint for what Grambling football would become. So I enjoyed watching this game, and like I said again, man, thanks to Joey Jackson for recommending this game. And if you got anything that you want me to watch and read and get into the time machine about, let me know. I'll see if I can find it. Some of these older games, they're harder to find, but it don't have to be a 90s game. It can be a 2000s game. It can be the last couple of years. It don't have to be real old. Or it can be a player, whatever you want to, whatever you want me to hop into the time machine and talk about, I will do that. So that's gonna do it for this episode of Swag Talk. Again, Swag Smoke tomorrow, live 6 p.m. Central, 7 p.m. Eastern. Check us out, 50th episode. We're gonna have a good time, so make sure y'all tune in for that. And with that being said, man, I'm your tour guide, stopping the bus. And gonna holler at y'all later, man. Y'all have a good day. Peace.